Good morning to all my friends and family, and welcome to this episode of Jim's 5am Club. What I'd love to do today is to go for a walk and talk. The day has transformed into a most beautiful Sydney winter's day. So what I'd like to touch on today is a book that is entitled Reading Inside of a Dog. This book was published on the 22nd of March 2016 by an author who goes by the name of Alexandra Horowitz. Yesterday I was a little alarmed when one of my work peers drove past and she had her little Maltese sitting in the passenger seat, and I went up and said hi, and she told me that she was taking her 18-year-old Maltese named Mia to get put down. So that story yesterday has inspired this book to be discussed today. So let's see what we can learn and what we can take from this book. And for those who have had pets, a lot of these insights may be interesting and revealing. And we'll see what we can learn and what we can incorporate, add and use in our own lives, and hopefully understand the pets, the dogs, and all our little companions a little bit better. So the first message to come from this book, which I found most interesting indeed, is that dogs, when they smell in layers that we cannot even imagine. Because when a dog pauses for 5 minutes at a patch of grass, as their companions will be pulling and tugging on the leash, but I won't be doing that anymore, because the author here, Horowitz, reveals that to a dog, every scent is a history. Who was here, when, and what they felt. What they felt, that in itself is so powerful and so interesting indeed. Who was here, when they were here, and what they felt. Smell is a dog's way of reading and understanding the world in and through a dog's life. And rushing them through is like flipping through a novel without letting them finish the sentences. So from now on, what we'll do is when we're with our dogs or other people's dogs, we'll allow them to read, to finish the sentences, and to enjoy every little morsel of scent that they come across. Another message that comes from this book is where the author reminds us that dogs aren't just reacting, they're actually interpreting. That late night bark isn't something that is random, because dogs construct a world based on their own sensory data. They hear frequencies that we cannot. They feel vibrations that we ignore. And Horowitz describes this not as a flaw in humans, but in a powerful difference. And as we know, we're all created different. God created everything different from each other so that we can be different for each other. One of the demands, we stop interpreting their behaviour solely through our lens. And what looks irrational to us is absolutely completely sensible to them and important for them to be allowed to express the full spectrum of their behaviour in order for them to enjoy and to interpret that moment in time that is important to them as a pet. Another message that comes from this book is where the author reminds us that anthropomorphism is comforting, but it misses the point. What the author here is trying to suggest, and the point that he's trying to make, is that we often love our dogs like small, furry people. But Horowitz gently cautions against this, because at the end of the day, dogs are not and will never be a stand-in for humans. They are indeed remarkable creatures in their own right, with drives and delights we'll never fully be able to share. But she invites us to stop projecting and to start observing, because the gift of knowing a dog is not in making them like us, but in learning to love them for who they are themselves. Another point that comes from this book is that where the author talks to us in a way to allow us to understand a dog. In order to understand a dog, you must lower yourself literally and figuratively. Horowitz speaks about the umwelt, the unique perceptual world of an organism. To get close to understanding our dogs, we must kneel, we must listen, and we must observe at their level. It's not just about looking at them, it's about seeing with them as well. And we need to let go of our dominance and embracing curiosity. That shift from master to witness is where connection actually deepens. And the last point to come from this book is where the author tells us that the most profound love begins in respect. We think we love our dogs well, but sometimes love is actually control in disguise, commands, corrections, and our expectations. Horowitz reminds us that the deepest affection doesn't seek to mould or to manage, it seeks to know, to respect your dog's nature, their rhythms, their quirks, and in doing so, you become not only their trainer, but also their companion. So reading this book inside of a dog helps us change the way that we walk and how we speak, and how we pause when our dog stops in its tracks and lifts its nose to the wind. It gives us a way to understand the invisible threads of this world and helps teach us that love isn't always loud. Sometimes love is patient. Sometimes it smells like everything we can't smell. And sometimes it barks at shadows that we can't see. And yet it is very real. Take care, everybody. Yasas. Bye for now. And until we chat again, let's love and understand and to allow our pets to freely live and express themselves.